Should we now assume that in every town, city in this country, there is widespread child sex abuse going on that we don't know about, but probably the police and the social workers do, but nothing's being done about it?
Yes, we should. And Nazir Assal is actually one of our ambassadors, so I know him, and he's actually always said, and at the time when it was Rochdale, he said, I may be Asian, but this is about breaking laws in our country, and it has nothing to do with culture or religion. This is to do with you live in this country, you abide by our laws, and the sort of racism, no one's being racist here, but you can actually, if you work out the numbers, it is disproportionately much higher Asian gangs as opposed to white men. But it is in every town, and people don't understand how it works because they find it unpalatable.
Yeah, and even I as a journalist, I think, people are taking their kids to school. Do they want to have this subject on the radio? We deliberately timed this, actually, after school has started. But this is the thing. The race aspect of this is always, I think people get very confused about. Most sensible, sane people are not saying, it's Muslims or Asian men who are more likely to be paedophiles. That's not the case at all. There's no reason.
Of course it's not.
No reason. The point is, and it's a largely white country, so most people who are convicted of paedophile or sex grooming crimes are actually white men. Okay, but the point is, the aspect of race and ethnicity and religion that comes in here is that it is now believed, widespread belief, and I think absolutely true, that the reason why this has been allowed to go on unchecked for so long without anyone doing anything, even though all the evidence was sitting there in plain sight, is that because there was a view among social workers, among the police, among the councils, local authorities, that they didn't want to face accusations of racism if they targeted these gangs because they were largely Asian and actually vast majority also Muslim.
Yes, absolutely right. And absolutely right. But then the police should have taken a rain check on this and looked at what they represent. Their job, and they take an oath on this, is to represent the well-being and the peace among the communities and the people of Britain. We have a law in this country about child sexual abuse, and whatever your colour or creed, if you break that law, tough, you go to jail. So these people who have been frightened of the race card, but if you go back, look at Telford, it goes back 40 years. In those days, people's jobs were threatened. We didn't have the same employment laws then. If you speak about this and you raise a flag, you will be dismissed. I mean, you're going back to 1970s, and I was around in the 70s working, and, it was very easy to get rid of people if you didn't play the party line. Yeah. But the trouble is with this, we welcome multi-ethnic people in the country, but with that comes their cultures and their mindsets. So we have, female genital mutilation, Somalians and Africans. We've got honour-based violence going on in the Asian community, arranged marriages. When you've got these arranged marriages where, there's not a lot of love lost between the partners after a long time, and the men get to about 40 years age and there's nothing going on, the mindset in those cultures is that, we keep our girls safe inside, so this must be white trash. And if they're sexually frustrated, they will look for an outlet.
And this has been, and again, in some of the court cases, this has been actually stated by some of those who've been prosecuted and found guilty. Their attitude being that those white girls were easy, not just easy prey, but they were easy, and they were considered fair game because, well, basically they were dressed like sluts. That was their view, and therefore that they should be treated that way. How do we tackle this though? Because it seems that this is still an issue, and it is one that a lot of people feel very uncomfortable about, and people don't want to talk about, and people don't want to be accused of being racist or Islamophobic. But equally, I don't care what your religion is or what kind of. If you're a 40-year-old man plying a girl with drugs and drink and basically selling her to be raped by 10 men in a night, that you're committing a crime.
Well, you're actually singing off my own hymn sheet. I mean, that's absolutely right. If you're a grown man, go and find a grown-up woman to have sex with. Don't do it with a child.
Yeah, I mean, again,
and don't do it.
It's the fact that even needs to be stated out loud, and yet it does. Marilyn Hawes, Chief Executive Founder of the child protection charity Enough Abuse UK.